Hey folks, I'm Anthony DeForge, owner and chief pilot at Falcon One Aerial Imaging here in Asheville, North Carolina. Now, for those of you that I have not had the pleasure of working with, I am a professional aerial and real estate photographer with over 700 hours of logged flight time as a commercial drone pilot. I am FAA Part 107 certified, as well as a licensed unmanned aircraft pilot through the Division of North Carolina Aviation. I was asked to put together a quick training package by Steve Noga, a broker with Dwell Realty Group at Keller Williams, for a spring training meeting their team was scheduling. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. So the request was then changed to a video to be shared hopefully with all of you brokers. The reason for this quick video is to give you some guidance and hopefully better insight into the rules and regulations that aerial photographers must follow, as well as a few hints in putting together a safe video and photo shot list with your drone pilot. First of all, why do you need to have aerial imaging and video in your marketing in the first place? Well, statistics show that aerial imaging will in fact help you sell your clients' properties 20 to 30% faster than just solely using ground or interior photography. Also, 83% of sellers prefer to use a broker that uses aerial photography. Additionally, high volume agents use aerial photography about 3.5 times more often than lower volume agents. And agents of large properties and high-end homes use aerial imaging more often in their marketing videos and photos. Showing a prospective client aerials of the home you are marketing or vacant buildable acreage and or the surrounding neighborhood will give them the bird's eye view of what they're looking to purchase. And honestly, if you're not requesting aerial imaging from your current or future photographer on almost every property that you're trying to market, you're definitely missing out. Now, even if the property may not seem that very interesting to you on the ground, a flyover of the property or just even showing some aerials of the surrounding area may be just what is needed to push a buyer who is sitting on the fence into purchasing that property. By federal law and according to the FAA, any use of a drone in which the images taken by that drone may or will result in any form of profit, the pilot of that drone must have a Part 107 Airman Certificate, also known as a Commercial Drone Pilot's License, in order to legally fly for commercial reasons, in this case marketing your real estate. Additionally, the state of North Carolina requires a drone pilot to test with the North Carolina Division of Aviation and maintain a North Carolina commercial drone permit to operate within the state legally. One of the regulations a drone pilot must adhere to is they are limited to 400 feet above ground in altitude. If the pilot is filming or taking images of a building or structure for you that is taller than 400 feet, the pilot can fly 400 feet above that tall structure or building, but must maintain the 400-foot radius around that structure. Now, having said that, if for example a property you require imaging of is on a mountainside 1,000 feet from normal ground level, your pilot may either launch close to the property or on the property to get the images that you're requiring. Now, if for some reason they're unable to launch on the property or close to the property due to power lines or tree overgrowth, they can fly from a road down below and fly up to the property. But they still have to maintain that 400 foot above ground rule. So as they're flying up, they can't go up to 1,000 feet and then across. They have to fly up over the tree canopy, trying to maintain as best as possible the 400 foot above ground rule as they get up towards the property. The pilot must also maintain visual sight of the drone at all times. A pilot cannot fly beyond visual sight without a special waiver from the FAA, and additional safety features must be in place, such as radio communications with visual observers on the ground in the flight path of the drone. Now, according to the FAA and the North Carolina Division of Aviation, a pilot may fly over any private property that is next to the subject property in order to put the drone in the appropriate position to complete an imaging job. And yes, this can be done without the permission of the adjoining property owners. But as a rule, I try to have either the broker or current property owner have a conversation with the neighbors and advise them that there will be a drone flying around taking pictures for their property for real estate reasons. Now, on this subject, despite popular beliefs and many unhinged rants on the internet, property owners do not own or control the airspace above their property. Flying a drone over someone's property to reach a property being filmed is not an invasion of privacy. The FAA and the North Carolina Division of Aviation have the only authority to restrict a pilot from a particular property. They do this by what is called electronic geofencing. This is done through the same GPS satellites drones use to navigate. Examples of such areas would be national and state parks, protected historic sites, airports of course, as well as military and prison facilities. Now, if or when a pilot approaches or begins to breach a geofenced area, a warning will be audible as well as visual on the pilot's monitor, and in most cases the drone will not even continue to fly in that flight path no matter how hard the pilot tries to pass over that geofenced area. Now, it is illegal for anyone, no matter the reason, to shoot down a commercially operated drone aircraft or even a hobbyist drone for that matter. It is a felony. These are registered aircraft that are treated just like manned aircraft and is punishable by up to $25,000 fine from the FAA. The LiPo batteries on these aircraft are very flammable and explosive if punctured by a projectile. The resulting fire could easily start a house fire or a brush fire. The shooter could also be responsible for any damage to persons or property on the ground as well, not to mention being sued by the drone operator. Again, very illegal. Please just tell your friends and family, don't do it. If a drone is hovering outside your bedroom window or you think a drone is doing something nefarious in the area, simply call law enforcement and let them investigate and let them handle it. True professional drone pilots have worked way too hard to get their pilot's license and value the ability to do the job they love way too much to pull stupid stunts like this. Okay, that should cover a few of the most important legal rules and regulations regarding drones. There are a lot more, but they really only concern the pilot themselves, and we don't need to go into that for your purposes here. Now, despite looking like a toy, today's commercial drones, no matter the size, are actually a sophisticated aircraft with an equally sophisticated camera system. They are packed with impressive avionics, software, and electronics that keep the drone flying and allow them to take some unique imaging pre-programmed autonomous flight paths such as orbiting. However, despite their internal complexities, they are still bound by the same laws of any manned fixed-wing or rotary aircraft: lift, drag, center of gravity, weight distribution of the camera and sensors, and even the rotor wash created by the aircraft itself. Now, here in the mountains especially, the pilots also have to deal with ever-changing wind directions, updrafts, and even a sudden microburst. While standing on the ground, you and I may not notice it much. It may seem like a calm day. But once you get above the tree canopy or a building blocking the wind, it can be a whole other ballgame. In most, if not all cases, your drone pilot is multitasking to the 10th degree in some form or another. Not only are they flying the aircraft, but they are maneuvering the camera and adjusting its angle, making the necessary camera tweaks such as shutter speed, etc., and then taking the image or video just at the right moment for that perfect shot. Some challenges here in Western North Carolina you may not even think of, such as birds of prey. The red-tailed hawk in particular here in the mountains has a strong dislike for drones. They see it as a competing bird of prey and will attack a drone and try to knock it out of the sky or chase it away from where they may be nesting. I know from experience myself on 5 occasions having my aircraft knocked out of the sky by a red-tailed hawk. Unfortunately, I was not filming at the time to catch it on camera, more worried about getting away and saving the drone than any YouTube fame. But here's a video clip of another drone pilot's encounter with the hawk so you can see what I mean. So let's talk about what you will want to try and avoid asking your drone pilot to do with his or her aircraft. And really it boils down to simply putting the aircraft in an unsafe position. First, you must keep in mind that these aircraft have at least 4 and in some cases 6 to 8 spinning propellers. Asking your pilot to put a drone in a tight area behind a building with very limited maneuvering room or trying to fly it up a steep wooded trail with difficult to see hanging tree limbs or small vines will put the operator's equipment in danger of being damaged or even destroyed. The slightest impact or entanglement to these rotors and the drone will most likely crash and be damaged. The propellers are not too expensive to replace, but the camera systems can cost thousands of dollars, and airframes of the aircraft are very expensive as well, not to mention the downtime to repair or have to replace. Additionally, these aircraft must use GPS satellites to navigate in their three-dimensional world. If they are put into a thick wooded area or areas in which there are tight steep slopes on either side, the GPS signal, just like your cell signal, will be lost. When a drone loses communication with the GPS navigation satellites, the drones then start to wobble around in the air like they're drunk and the pilot will have a very difficult time in keeping the aircraft steady enough to properly take images or those smooth video shots. So keep this in mind when putting together your shot list. Your photographer will greatly appreciate it. The prop wash these aircraft create is something else to keep in mind in enclosed tight areas. It can and will bounce an aircraft around when close to the ground or an enclosed area, say behind a house or near a steep slope or another building. Additionally, if a drone does not have more than 70 or 80 feet in which to maneuver back from the subject matter, you may not even be able to get the entire building or house in the frame. The camera lenses on almost all professional drones is set to a slightly zoomed in focal point. This is purposely done as a safety feature to help pilots flying by camera view only from accidentally flying too close or into an object or structure. So in such a case, discuss with your pilot to see if they have an alternative to get the shot you're looking for. Ask the pilot if they have a DSLR camera. They may have one for such an instance. So now let's talk about the different types of shots and terminology your drone operator may use to describe what they foresee on a possible shoot. First one is orbit video shots. An orbit video shot is just what it sounds like. The drone pilot will tell the drone camera what the center point is in the camera lens frame. They will then back the drone up to a desired radius, and the drone will autonomously fly in a perfect 360-degree orbit of that center point of reference. Now, if you desire a low orbit around a home or building, keep in mind there has to be no obstacles in the way of the drone's 360-degree flight path. Now, if there are obstacles such as trees, etc., the pilot can suggest doing maybe a half orbit as well as some other options in their bag of drone photography tricks to give you the best result and a professional look. The flyover. The flyover again pretty much is what it sounds like. The pilot will fly slowly over the property, either low or high, and will sometimes pan the camera either up or down for a more dramatic effect. The rocket or pullback shot. This is when the pilot slowly flies backwards, increasing in speed and altitude as the camera is flying away from the house or the lot. The rocket overhead. Same as previously mentioned, but from directly over the home, usually close to the roof, and then shooting up into the air until the entire property can be seen while still observing that 400-foot AGL rule, of course. The fly-up. Again, just like it sounds, this is the camera flying up to the house at usually a low altitude. The pilot can either have the camera stop just before the entrance or back deck, or have the drone slowly rise and fly over the roof, exposing, let's say, a large backyard, incredible mountain vistas, or even a lake behind the house. Lot line overlay. This is a nice feature to add to your photo session if possible. The lot line overlay flight is taken from 400 feet on a flyover of the entire property, and the aerial photographer in post-production creates an overlay to be placed on the video showing the general location of the lot lines. Now please note, not every property can have this done. If the property has a very oddly shaped property line, an overlay may not be possible. Or if the acreage is so large the aerial photographer is unable to get the entire property in the shot at 400 feet, then this may not be an option. However, I would request one anyway, and if the pilot gets into the editing room and feels they are unable to give you a professional looking overlay, then no harm, no charge. And again, these overlays are just a generalized location of the property line and are not to GIS specifications. Also, the line may move as the drone is flying overhead depending on the size and shape of the property, as well as the camera angle. So these are just a few of the most common shots a drone pilot may discuss with you for the day's shoot. Now let's move on to when is the best time to schedule your aerial photo session. Of course, weather and wind are the biggest factors an aerial photographer has to deal with. But as far as times of day, I've found that for the best results, you want to schedule your aerial imaging between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. during the spring and summer months, and between the hours of 11:30 a.m. and 3 p.m. during the fall and winter months. Any earlier than 10 a.m. and you risk lens flares and whiteout haze caused by a low sun in the sky. Sunny and partly cloudy days will always give you the best results for both your still images as well as your video, and will help to ensure the clarity and quality as well as give you nice rich colors. If for some reason you are purposely wanting to shoot at twilight or sunset sessions, your aerial photographer will have filters or additional lighting techniques they can discuss with you. Now, legally pilots are allowed to fly 30 minutes before sunrise and 30 minutes after sunset. And in the cases of night flying, that requires a special waiver from the FAA as well as additional safety measures being put in place, which will most likely cost you more as well as the client. And I have yet to have someone request a night flight for real estate marketing. Drones are made up of circuit boards and other electronics and are not water resistant or waterproof. So don't expect your pilot to fly in a light rain or even a drizzle. This equipment is way too expensive to risk any electrical shorts or loss of the aircraft. One quick side note, if you are hiring a pilot to shoot a large buildable vacant acreage that may be located in the middle of other properties, please meet the pilot and take them to the location so they know for sure what they are shooting. Over the years, I've become adept at finding locations through GPS longitude and latitude, but it can be challenging at times and would save your pilot having to reshoot the location and end up costing you more. So before I show you a few different types of property layouts and how your pilot may consider shooting each of these properties, let's very quickly discuss indoor drone photo and video shoots. The drone used for indoor drone photo and video shoots, with the exception of large empty warehouses or other large commercial buildings, should be a small drone such as this. Now, it should have obstacle avoidance sensors in the front, in the back, as well as on the bottom. And it should be equipped with prop guards. These are removable. But you want to have these on the drone to help prevent the propellers from damaging the walls inside the building or home. You want to reserve indoor shoots for those homes with high ceilings, in particular, vaulted or cathedral style, to really truly get the dramatic shots that you want to add that wow factor to your marketing. When planning an indoor drone shoot, you obviously do not want the drone flying over anything that may either blow off or be knocked over by the prop wash that the drone will create. These aircraft, even the small ones, put down quite a bit of this prop wash and could easily blow off or knock over small and light items such as little knickknacks or even small lamps. So you and the pilot will want to do a walk through the area that you're interested in shooting and remove temporarily any objects that you might think may be blown off of tables or countertops. And of course, the pilot will want to stay away from any expensive artifacts such as vases or paintings. But a small drone shooting indoors in the hands of an experienced pilot can give you some spectacular crane shots, unique brief slow dramatic fly-throughs, as well as 48 megapixel high definition still imaging. Okay, so let's finally look at some examples of possible homes and what type of shot list you may want to consider for each. Now this home may not look like one the average person would consider to take aerial images of, built in the 1970s and nice but fairly plain looking landscaping. But as an aerial photographer, I see the use of a nice low orbit around the property at about 100-150 feet, maybe a flyover of a portion of the neighborhood close to the home, a lot line overlay of the property, and a low altitude slow fly up to the front of the house. Add in some images near the end of the video showcasing some of the local attractions, and when you combine this with some nice interior shots, you have a great inexpensive marketing package and a happy client. This property already has serious curb appeal. I would suggest a half orbit around the front of the house with the entire house in frame. I would then suggest maybe a higher full orbit at 150 feet or so above the tree line, showcasing the entire property. Now, due to the closeness of the trees in the back section of the home, a full low orbit will most likely not be possible. But you can still get some nice low altitude shots of the backyard, or maybe even a slow, low fly through the backyard showcasing a deck, pool, or maybe anything else that may be in the backyard that you might want to bring to the marketing video. I would also suggest a few slow fly-ups from varying angles of the front and sides of the home. And again, maybe a flyover of the neighborhood close to the home. Add in a lot line overlay and finish off with some possible local attractions at the end. Now here again, we have a beautiful home, but wow, a lot of trees close to the home. Still, there is some great potential here to add to your interior photo package. A slow fly up and rise over the exposed portions of the home, as well as a flyover at higher altitude to put the lot line overlay on. Add in a slow pan above the tree line and some selective still shots showing the neighborhood close to the property. With a small drone, you may be able to do a fly around some of the wraparound porch, but that would be up to the pilot and how comfortable they felt with that. Sunset and dust shots can be a nice dramatic addition to your marketing package. If you opt to add such shots, be sure to turn on as many lights as possible in the house as well as outside, and the blinds are pulled so you can see the light coming from inside the home. Adding shots like this into the package can yield very positive results, and most aerial photographers are willing to make another trip out as long as you're willing to cover their mileage. So I want to make sure that I impress on you wonderful brokers a few closing thoughts. One, of course, is that aerial imaging is without a doubt a necessary package of any real estate marketing video. Whether you're looking to take close-up aerials of the property or maybe even just to fly over the property and the surrounding area, you will honestly find that aerial imaging is a necessary and effective marketing tool. Be sure that you have a clear, detailed conversation with your aerial photographer of what you envision as a possible shot list, and listen to your pilot's input and any possible concerns. If you may be using both a separate aerial photographer and a separate interior photographer, it is important to have the conversation about your aerial shot list with the aerial photographer and not the ground photographer. The difference between the two disciplines are very different indeed. A ground photographer does not have the issues to deal with that the aerial photographer does, and vice versa. I cannot stress this fact enough. Remember, your drone photographer is not standing on the ground safely holding the camera. The aerial camera is flying through the air and sometimes hundreds of feet in the air. If something goes wrong and it comes down from that altitude, the drone photographer is most likely going to be out of thousands of dollars. So just try to be understanding of that fact during your conversations. And also, don't be afraid to let your aerial photographer's creative juices flow. They may happily surprise you. In closing, I want to thank you for your time in viewing this quick video. I hope it was informative and did not bore you too much. Please, if you have any questions or if I did not cover a specific topic that you were looking for more information on, feel free to email me at anthony@falcon1imaging.com, or you may call me at 828-301-0340. My contact information will be at the end of this video as well. We offer both standalone aerial packages as well as standalone interior packages, and we also offer bundled interior with aerial packages to save you some money, so do contact us if you need us. Please do visit our website and YouTube channel. I look forward to working with some of you again, and I hope to work with some of you for the first time in the near future. Thank you again, and have a great week.